Hey guys, it's over at Co.b. Doing another quick video here tonight. Tonight we're going to be going into detail about this little piece right here and how to properly take it apart and clean it. This is a model 1853 British Enfield lock plate. These are all the parts inside. I'm going to teach you how to take all these parts apart safely and properly, and name each one so you know which piece is which, just in case one breaks you know what to order. Anyway, tell you which each piece is which, and yeah, and how it works, and how I take mine apart, what tools I use, and that sort of thing. If you don't know how to take your lock plate off your rifle, basically all you're going to do is there's two little set screws right there. Lock plate comes out of there. Take those two screws that are right here loose. Put your hammer on half cock to come over the nipple and cone, and the nipple or the cone, whatever you want to call it, and it should slide on out. So I do this type of cleaning usually about 3 times a year. Usually I do one at the beginning of the year, maybe halfway through the year. It really all depends. Sometimes I'll do it just for the heck of it, just to play with the gun. But anyway, another time that I always do it is if I went to an event where the rifle got wet a lot. Like if it rained during the event, or if when I was cleaning it somehow I spilt water just all over the rifle. Anytime that the rifle just gets, extra dirty than the normal wear and tear of an event, I'll tear the rifle completely down, take the barrel off, take every single piece off the rifle, and I'll strip the lock plate down, make sure there's no rust, oil everything, and then put it back together, and we're good to go. It's really good to do this sort of stuff. It's PMs, or preventable maintenance is what it is. And basically what you're doing is you're taking it apart, oiling everything, checking everything out, trying to catch stuff before it breaks and fixing it right then and there. So anyway, the Enfield's lock plate does mirror the Springfield's. It's all the same pieces. It works all the same way. It's designed maybe a little bit different, or the pieces are shaped a little bit different, but they're all the same thing. So anyway, basically, all you see, if you can see in the video, all I got is 3 tools. That's all it takes to take this apart. I shouldn't have this tool. I should have an actual mainspring vise, but I'll go into detail about it in a minute. Anyway, so 1853 British Enfield lock plate. Okay, so first piece to come off is going to be this piece right here. This is your mainspring. Okay, the mainspring puts tension on this little piece right here, which is your stirrup. The stirrup puts tension on the tumbler. The tumbler then puts tension on the hammer. The hammer, which gives the hammer the force to come down and strike the primer. Okay? So that's what the mainspring does. Okay? To take that off, what I do, and what you should do as well, is get some form of vise. I advise you to go out and get a mainspring vise. Get the proper tool to take this off. I'm using this little itty bitty C-clamp because I've lost mine, and haven't taken the time to actually order a new one. So here lately I've been using this little C-clamp. But like I said, just go ahead and order the right tool to start off with. So, go ahead and put it. I usually place mine really close to all the parts on the spring itself. Then I just start tightening down. Let me try that. Okay, get it nice and tight, like so, and then your mainspring just comes right on off. The reason I say to go ahead and get the proper tool to begin with is because if this mainspring was to slip out of this grip, which I doubt it will, but if it were to, it would sling across the room, and it'd have the possibility of right here where it bends at, slinging and tearing apart. I've seen people, I've done it myself with pliers and channel locks in years past, which was stupid. I should have never done that to begin with. I should have went out and got the proper tool to begin with. But yeah, get you a vise. Don't use channel locks. Don't use pliers. I mean, channel locks, they do work, but I wouldn't suggest using them. Just go ahead and get the proper tool. So after taking that apart, I'll set that aside somewhere safe where I know where it's at. Okay. After taking that apart, the next thing I'll do is take the second spring of the two springs that's on this lock plate. You have your main spring, which is right here, which was sitting right here. Next spring to take off is going to be your shear spring. Shear spring's right here. Okay. Your shear spring will put tension on the actual shear itself, which is this piece right here. Your shear spring, after your shear spring puts tension on this, when you pull the hammer back to half cock or to full cock, will push forward and be pushed into one of the notches in the tumbler. And when I take the tumbler off, I'll show you those notches. But once it's pushed into one of those notches, when you pull the trigger pushes up with a little small blade. I'll show you. If you can. I don't think you're barely going to be able to see it. I mean, you got to really focus in there. I really need a light. Anyway, you can't see it, so never mind. When you pull that trigger, a little blade is going to come up and push on the shear. When it pushes on the shear, of course, it releases the tumbler, releasing the hammer. So, what I'll do here is this little screw right here. I loosen it just ever so slightly. Maybe about a full turn is all I do. And I'll take my pliers here, my needle nose, pinch it, pull it out of this little slot that it sits in, and let go. And then I finish taking off the screw. As it comes off, I'll leave the screw in the actual spring itself so I don't get them mixed up. Okay? But the little slot right there is what actually that lip right there sits in. And I just lost my screw. Anyway. Screw back. There you go. There's that. Next thing I'm going to take off is going to be this screw right here, which actually is holding onto my actual bridle, which is this top piece right here, which holds on to, which keeps your tumbler up against the lock plate. Up against the plate itself, and holds on to your shear right here. So I'll just go ahead and loosen that up. Okay, set the screw to the side for a second, and take my actual shear out, which you can see the shear has a little tooth on it right here, which pushes. See it. Those little notches right there on the tumbler. Okay, put that screw with your shear so you don't lose it either. Keep that to the side, safe to the side. Okay, next thing I'm going to take off is the bridle screw. Take it off. Set to the side. Make sure it's safe somewhere. And take my actual bridle off. Okay, there's your bridle. Okay. Put that screw right there so I don't lose it either. Flip the lock plate over. Well, first, then you can take your stirrup off, which mine just technically fell off. Take your stirrup off. There's that little piece right there, this is what actually the main spring connects to put tension on your tumbler. Set it to the side safely. Don't want to lose it. It's a small piece. Make sure you know where it's at. Unscrew your hammer screw. Set it to the side for just a second. And then your hammer will slide right on off of your tumbler. You can push right here. Right there. And your tumbler will come off your lock plate. Now I'll take the hammer screw and I'll put it back onto the tumbler so I don't lose it. Alright, there you have it. There's a fully disassembled lock plate right there. All your parts. Now, after I've done all that, I'll inspect each part, make sure there's no rust on it whatsoever, which the lock plate does not, as you can see. Check my tumbler. I look at my teeth right here. Make sure they're all in good working order, which I need to do here myself. So, yeah. Make sure they got a good enough bite so your actual shear, when pushed in, will actually lock in, which it does. And check your shear itself, make sure it's good. Make sure there's no rust on it. Check your bridle, make sure there's no rust on it. Shear spring, and then your mainspring itself. After I've done all that, take my good old oil rag here, dip it in some good old Hobbs number 9, and just give everything a good little wipe down. You don't want to put a heavy layer on, you just want to put a very light coating on everything. And then while putting coating on, I'll wipe it off. There we go. Set it to the side. Wipe down the lock plate itself. This just keeps rust from building. It keeps everything well oiled and lubricated. Then wipe it down. And I'll do the outside as well. Set it aside and repeat with each piece. And it's good just to do this anytime you take a lock plate apart. You wipe every part down. Every single piece gets wiped down. So, even your mainspring should be wiped down. Anyway, so, after all that's done, then you can reassemble everything. Which is basically the same way you took it apart. Make sure you keep all the screws with all the same parts so you don't lose which piece is which. And if you're not very mechanically inclined, I would suggest waiting until you're either with your unit reenacting, or if you know a good gunsmith that you can trust, and have him show you how everything comes apart. That way, you know, you're not stripping any screws, you're not, cross-threading anything. Just make sure you do all that stuff. After you put your tumbler on, go ahead and put your bridle on. Screw it, your bridle screw. Go ahead and put it on, but don't tighten it all the way down. Just barely put it, put enough tension until it'll hold. And then put your shear on. That way you got, enough of a gap so it'll slide underneath your bridle good enough. And then you can do the same thing with your shear screw. You want to give it just enough tension for it to hold, but so your shear can move up and down, because of course that's how it actually fires. Then you can go ahead and tighten down that bridle screw. It's good and sound. Then come up with your shear spring. It'll get it in my hand first. Okay, there it goes. Put just a little bit of tension on it so your shear string can move up and down. Shear spring will move up and down because you're going to take your pliers and put it back into place. You can always use your thumb and snap it in, but to me, pliers are just a more sure sound. You need to tighten it down. Make sure it's good and tight. And put it back to half cock. And then you're ready to put your mainspring back on. Just like so. Alright, it's falling into place. Then you can loosen your vise here. And there you have it. Things back into place. Everything's all rolled up, ready to go. Then you can always check it. Make sure everything's in working order. There's half cock. There's full cock. Alright, so there you go. There you have it. Half cock. Yeah. Like I said, I do that several times a year. Usually after it rains and stuff. Just make sure there's no rust build up, because rust is terrible for these weapons. And as everyone knows, these things are expensive, and you want to have them last a good while. Make sure nothing breaks on them, because you want to have that pride into your product, knowing your rifle, and faith in it that when you pull that hammer back, it's always going to go off. So yeah, it's always good to do a little PM stuff like this on them all the time. A little bit of maintenance, clean them up, take care of your stuff. Is basically what all you're doing here. But if you have any comments about the video or any questions about the video, or maybe some questions about the lock plate, maybe you want to go in a little bit depth about the parts in here, and where you can get spare parts or anything like that, just leave me a comment or private message me, and I'll answer it the best way I can. I also know how to answer a few questions about if you want to do your own little home gunsmithing about if some of the pieces in here. Can't tell you I can't tell you to fix everything, but I can tell you a few parts in here. Anyway, yeah. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Like the video, subscribe, help me out. Help me build my video, my channel. Hope you liked it, and thanks.